Okay, so we will start our program with the prayer and followed by the national anthem.
Ama naming nasa langit, pagkalooban mo kami ng biyaya na mahalin ang aming mga gawain, ang paglingkuran ang bayan. Naway maisagawa namin ang aming tungkulin ng maingat at wasto kahit walang natatanggap na anumang pagkilala. Panginoon, tulungan mo kaming maging tapat sa aming pakikipag-ugnayan sa iba, sumusunod sa inyong banal na utos ng katarungan at katotohanan. Gawin mo kaming magiliw at matulungin sa lahat ng lumalapit sa aming tanggapan. Huwag mong hayaang gamitin namin ang aming panunungkulan sa pagsasamantala. Naway huwag naming pagyamanin ang aming sarili gamit ang pera at yaman ng pamahalaan. Huwag nawa naming malimutan na ang katapatan ay ang pinakamahusay na patakaran at ang nakaw na yaman ay hindi makapagbibigay ng galak at buhay. Bigyan nawa namin ng pansin ang kapakanan ng komunidad higit sa anumang pangkat, ang kapakanan ng bayan higit sa anumang komunidad, at ang katapatan sa iyo higit sa anumang bagay. Pagpalain mo Panginoon, ang aming bansa, at ang aming institusyon, pang-alaalang sentrong medical Quirino, at panatilihin sa iyong kapayapaan. Amen. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu. Sumainyo ang kapayapaan, kalakip ang pagpapala ng Diyos. Ama naming
bayang magiliw, telas ng silanganan, alak na puso, sa mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tulad ka ng mag-ibig, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisiil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bukha. May dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang kistak ng watawan mo'y tagumpay na nagninilig. Ang bituin at araw niyang kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw, dalawa ang ating pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya dapat may mga api, ang mamatay lang dahil sa'yo.
Okay, so to give her welcome remarks, let us all welcome our Chief of Hospital Operation Services, is Cecilia M. Villamin.
Our dear QMMC family, good morning. It is with great pleasure and enthusiasm that I extend a warm welcome to all of you present here today for our hospital institutional conference on the topic Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare. This conference represents a unique opportunity for us to come together and delve into the potential impact of artificial intelligence on the field of healthcare. We are here to explore how AI and technologies can revolutionize patient care, diagnosis, treatment, and administrative processes within our healthcare system. I would like to take this moment to express my heartfelt appreciation to the organizers from the Integrated Management Information System section and Admitting section for their unwavering dedication and hard work in planning and orchestrating this conference. Their commitment to excellence and their tireless efforts have been instrumental in bringing us all together for this important discourse. As we embark on this journey of exploration and learning, I encourage each of you to actively participate, engage in meaningful discussions, and share your valuable insights and experiences. Our collective knowledge and expertise will undoubtedly enrich our understanding of the potential applications of artificial intelligence in healthcare. I am confident that the day ahead of us will be filled with stimulating discussions, thought-provoking presentations, and opportunities to forge new collaborations. I hope that this conference will serve as a catalyst for innovations and inspire us to harness the power of artificial intelligence to enhance the quality of care we provide to our patients. Once again, I extend my sincerest thanks to each and every one of you for your presence here today. Let us embrace this opportunity with open hearts and open minds as we embark on this enlightening journey into the realm of artificial intelligence in healthcare. Thank you, and here's to a successful and enriching conference.
Ma'am Cecil. So again, we remind everyone that you can start answering the pre-seminar work test, pre-seminar test. No. Okay. So moving forward, let me introduce to you our medical center chief for her inspirational message. So let us welcome Dr. Evelyn Victoria E. Reside.
Maraming salamat, Sir Joma, at lahat ng ating mga kasama sa QMMC family. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Heto na naman tayo, dadala na naman tayo ng isang makabuluhan at napakahalagang institutional conference ngayong umagang ito, and I congratulate all our organizers for bringing this together. Siguro naman hindi naiiba na sa atin ang mga salitang artificial intelligence. Actually, nung panahon pa, nung kababata pa natin ata, no? And I know our speaker, Dr. Raymond Francis Sarmiento, will agree with me on this. Matagal na yan na pag-uusapan kahit sa larangan ng siyensya, kahit sa larangan ng sine, television, may mga binabanggit na ng mga salitang artificial intelligence. Yung panahon pa ni Star Trek, yung panahon pa ng Star Wars, kung naaalala pa natin. And so these concepts, that we are going to discuss today might not be anything different anymore for us. Hindi na siguro yan sobrang bago. Although, sa tagal na pinag-uusapan natin yan, hindi natin naiisip na yung teknolohiya na yan ay narito na pala sa atin. We have seen a lot of applications already in other means and other ways, in R&D, in the delivery of information, in the delivery of other products, But for healthcare, this might still be new to us. Sinasabi nga natin, ang ating mga ospital ay kulang lagi sa tao. Our manpower is always short in supply. Kulang tayo ng doctors, nurses, medtech, radtech, yung mga kasamahan natin sa mga opisina natin, lagi nating sinasabi na mas maigi na meron talagang mas marami tayong nagtatrabaho. And so this is maybe one way by which artificial intelligence can be of use to us. makakatulong ito sa ating pagharap sa mga pasyente, sa pag-iisip at pagdedesisyon, sa ating pagbigay ng mga gamot at mga plano natin para sa ating mga pasyente. There are ways by which we can use our technology nowadays in very relevant ways by which we can provide more of the quality healthcare that we aim to provide. Although, syempre, sinasabi naman natin, hindi naman dapat palitan ng artificial intelligence ang kakayahan ng ating mga katauhan. Wala pa ring katulad ang aruga ng isang tao. Ang ating bedside manners, ang pakikipag-usap natin sa mga kamag-anak ng pasyente natin, ang pag-iisip at pagdedesisyon ng isang pangkat ng doktor, nurse, mga estudyante, mga kasama lahat sa pagbibigay aruga sa pasyente, ay hindi yan mapapantayan ng artificial intelligence. Kaya buksan nga natin ang ating mga isipan, pero alalahanin nga rin natin na lahat ng itong mga pagbabago sa teknolohiya ay meron pa ring mga sarili nilang roles, may sarili din silang part na binibigay sa ating pagbibigay aruga sa ating mga pasyente. They have their own place in the ways by which we do things in hospitals and in taking care of our patients. So yes, we would always want to be at the cutting edge of technology and advancement. But let us also look at how we can harmonize these advancements, these technologies, with the warmth of human approaches, with the care that we give to our patients, with the way that we deal with our colleagues. Medyo madali nga naman din magsulat kahit ng letter na nga, di ba? Madali nang magsulat ng letter dahil may artificial intelligence. Isang click lang sa computer, meron na tayong pathway on patient care. No? But then there still has to be that way by which we are able to come together as humans with the emotions and with the experience that we have in making things better for our patients and also for our hospital in general. Maraming salamat din po uli sa ating mga kawaning nagbigay oras ngayong umagang ito. Congratulations kay Sir Joma and Ma'am Cecil for bringing together such a program for this morning. Talaga namang napaka-interesting, napakahusay ng ating umaga ngayong araw na ito. And I would like to thank our speaker for today, Dr. Raymond Francis Sarmiento, for sharing his expertise and his time with us today. Narito na po tayo, sir, sa isang ospital na more than 70 years na nagbibigay kalinga sa ating mga pasyente, na ang ating teknolohiya ay natural naman, no, ayon lang sa kakayahan ng ating mga kawani at ang kakayahan din ng Department of Health. So lahat niyan, pagnilayan natin, bigyan nating pansin ang ating mga konsepto sa umagang ito para na rin magawa natin ng paraan na may angat natin lagi ang serbisyo ng ating ospital. Mula sa management ng QMMC, isang magandang umaga muli sa inyong lahat at mabuhay ang ating institutional conference. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much po, Dr. Reside, for that inspirational message. Today we have the privilege to learn from our keynote speaker, one of the outstanding young scientists, a true visionary and leader in the field of public health information. Dr. Raymond Francis R. Sarmiento is a physician scientist and currently the director of the National Telehealth Center, National Institute of Health, University of the Philippines, Manila. He is also the project director of the major digital information project of the Healthway Medical Network. He is also a clinical assistant professor of the UP College of Medicine's Medical Informatics Unit and chair of the Health Informatics for Development Working Group of the International Medical Informatics Association. He is the current president of HL7 Philippines, and is also the immediate past president of the Philippine Medical Informatics Society. Dr. Sarmiento is the Philippines representative to the WHO Working Group on Regulatory Considerations on Artificial Intelligence for Healthcare and is a member of the Philippines Health Technology Assessment Council. Dr. Sarmiento also served as co-chair of the IATF Sub-Technical Working Group on ICT for data governance, where he helped oversee the strategic direction of the government with regards to ICT adoption, use, and implementation in the country. In addition, he also served as the telemedicine policy advisor of the Office of the Vice President's Bayanihan e-Consulta program from 2021 to 2022. His expertise has earned him recognition and multiple prestigious awards from the JCI Philippines, TOYM Foundation, and Jerry Rojas Foundation as one of the outstanding young men as its honoree for medicine. Today, Dr. Sarmiento will be sharing his insights on how we can have a more complex understanding to AI's potential to transform many aspects of our patient care, as well as administrative processes in our QMMC community. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to the exceptional Dr. Raymond Francis R. Sarmiento. While waiting for Dr. Francis Sarmiento, I would like to ask or request everybody to answer our pre-test exam posted on the chat box.
Hello, good morning. While waiting for our keynote speaker, uh, remind lang po sa lahat ng na nandito na yung mga questions po ninyo, pwede po natin yan i-type namin sa message box natin, and then we will just read it after the presentation of Dr. Sarmiento. Thank you. Good morning po, Dr. Sarmiento.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Pwede na po tayo mag-start ng ating presentation, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Kanina po.
Thank you po.
Pwede na po kayo mag-share. Okay.
Mag-screen share. Apa. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I'm just fixing my ano po. Okay. Good morning po. Let me just open up my video. If you're able to see my face, that means my internet po is okay. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. So I'll just go to presentation mode. So thank you po for, well, medyo marami po, no? Almost 200 folks are in the call. Thank you also for taking the time out sa inyong busy schedule na pakinggan po itong pag-uusap po natin tungkol po sa artificial intelligence in healthcare. So I will be focusing more on medical AI, not exactly on the public health AI po. Marami po kasing iba-iba pong streams of work that's being done right now in the healthcare AI field. My work is mostly on medical AI, digital health po, no? As in how we'd be able to apply yun pong ating mga artificial intelligence models. Number one, to improve po patient outcomes. Number two, to make sure that it's effective and efficient po in terms of the workload that we have. And then number three, is there any way that AI can help us arrive at the best decision given a specific set of information po at that point in time? So I'll start po. I'm director din po of the National Telehealth Center, among other things. I'd also like to put in my disclaimer that all statements issued are mine alone, and my presentation does not necessarily reflect the position of the University of the Philippines or the Philippine government. Also declaring no commercial interest, financial relationships po with any proprietary entities I may mention. And these are my my competing interests. So you will note po, no, and also especially since my exposure in digital health, and then mostly in medical artificial intelligence po, has been mostly on the research realm, but trying to make sure also that we are contributing po on regulatory considerations. What's the best way and what's the best approach in terms of regulating artificial intelligence applications and machine learning models in the healthcare space. Just a quick outline of my presentation po. Very, very important as we are delving into artificial intelligence. Marami rin po kasing mga sanga-sanga and intertwining pong mga domains on artificial intelligence. And that's why I'd like to take the opportunity po para maliwanagan po patungkol po doon. Okay. So, and then also, hindi naman po maiwasan na given that the best way for artificial intelligence to perform is to be fed with personalized data, yung ating mga personal information. So how does it really affect us in terms of privacy and security, and ano ba yung mga applications of AI in healthcare? For applications of artificial intelligence in healthcare, I'll be focusing on two fields. So ophthalmology and radiology, those are arguably the top two healthcare fields na mas na-advance po yung artificial intelligence in terms of medical AI po na pag-apply po natin in terms of improving patient outcomes and arriving at diagnosis more quickly and more easily po. Okay, so artificial intelligence, ano po ba ito? So nagsimula po ito noong 1950 from Alan Turing. So ang seminal question po niya from his original study was asking, can machines think? Ito po ay nasundan po, napakarami po mga eksperimento over the years. In the 1970s, 1980s, there are ways for, if you're familiar with, there's this game, I think they're still doing it right now. What is the quickest way for a mechanical mouse made up, parang it's a robot mouse essentially, that's on one corner of a maze to go into the middle of the maze without flying, without anything of that sort. So so meron po doong meron dun pong paraan para po matignan and then having the mechanical mouse or the robot mouse after a few attempts, mas maiintindihan na po niya kung ano po yung pinakamabilis pong paraan para po makapunta doon po sa gitna ng maze na yon. So, yun po very, very important. In 2004, Dr. John McCarthy defined artificial intelligence po. It is the science and engineering po of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computer programs. Very similar task of using computers to understand human intelligence, and AI does not have to confine itself to methods that are biologically observable, making sure that can it approximate how humans think and the way that they're able to rationalize, etc. Is that something that's within the realm of possibility for machines? So ang ano po no, ang IBM naman po, they define artificial intelligence as a field combining computer science and robust data sets po, essentially mga kompletong data sets to enable problem solving. At the end of the day, the reason that you're using it is because you want to solve a problem. So marami po siyang mga subfields, machine learning, deep learning, frequently mentioned po siya, kasabay ng artificial intelligence. And how are these disciplines comprised of AI algorithms that seek to create expert systems po, no? Essentially because of the thousands and millions of data points that they're trying to crunch, are they able to reach a peak in terms of intelligence and reach expertise po and make predictions or classifications based on input data. So ito po, from a study that was done and published, ano po ba yung artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and convolutional neural networks. There's also another Venn diagram. Pag pinag-uusapan po yung data science, ano po yun? Dito naman po siya sa may medyo labas, tapos meron po siyang overlap dito po sa may machine learning part ng artificial intelligence. So, that's a long way of saying na hindi po lahat ng deep learning or convolutional neural networks, masasabi nyo na data science po yun. Pero yung pag sinabi mong artificial intelligence, sakop na po niya yung machine learning, deep learning, and convolutional neural networks. Dito po, ang sabi po dito, artificial intelligence, those are for computer systems able to perform tasks that normally would have required human intelligence. So, kailangan pong tandaan po natin yun. That's how we approximate po dito po sa artificial intelligence po natin. Number 2 will be ito pong computer systems that learn. Okay? Yung po yung critical term po dito, learn without following explicit instructions. So, meron pong tinatawag na supervised learning at meron din pong unsupervised learning. Doon po sa supervised learning, tuturuan po ninyo ano po yung dapat, based on the set of criteria that to set out, ano po yung ending or yung output po na i-achieve ng machine learning. Doon naman po sa unsupervised learning, meron po kayong dataset or datasets with thousands or millions of data points. Tapos doon po aalamin, is there a pattern that may be identified that can arise from this multitude of data points that may not be so obvious po at the outset. So you'll be able to use algorithms, statistical models, you'll analyze and draw inferences from the patterns in the data. Meron din pong mga type of machine learning na meron pong iba-ibang layers of processing that will be in my next slide, used to extract progressively po higher levels of features from the data. And then type po ng deep learning algorithm is convolutional neural networks. Meron din pong recurrent neural networks. Meron din pong adversarial neural networks. So marami po doon. And then part of that is how do you transform yung pong model na makikreate po ninyo based on these different networks. And especially since sa panahon po ngayon na may ChatGPT po ngayon, mayroon pong Google Bard, mayroon pong mga text to video, text to image na generation po. Let's say, iba-iba na po yung lumalabas po ng mga commercially available na mga systems po and applications that are using artificial intelligence that makes it a lot easier for those who have been doing this for spending a lot of time din po in creating all of those outputs. Is there a way for AI to help out in those? But for this one, lalo na po sa ChatGPT, which is the most famous example, it's a large language model that has been transformed. So I think it's on the 4th iteration na, that's why it's GPT-4. And their OpenAI, yung po nagpasimula nito, they're looking at GPT-5 now. How are you able to make sure that that the conversation that you're having between the human and the computer more and more improves to closely approximate human to human interaction po? But here, dito po sa CNN, which is a type of deep learning models, a network po. So it consists of layers that receive inputs. You assign the importance, ano po yung based on the set of criteria, alin po dito yung pinakamahalaga. You cluster the similar categories, and then ano po ba dito based on patterns and potentially abnormalities in the image or maybe in the text that you'll be recognizing, processing, and classifying. Yun po yung punto po niya. So we're looking at deep neural network here. So dito po, it approximates po kung ano po yung, essentially, if you think about it, how does the brain process inputs so that you're able to come up with information and then knowledge eventually. So there's the input layer. So marami pong permutations yan where that input goes, and then the output layer. Ito pong multiple hidden layers, diyan po dumadami yung pong sinasabi natin na palalim ng palalim. Kaya po sinatawag na deep neural networks po. That bumabase po ito doon po sa how the criteria is being assigned an importance, and how those criteria, let's say multiple criteria na po, marami na po talaga nadagdag, how each of those help the machine learn and understand kung paano po siya magbe-better recognize, better process, and better to classify ng mga data na nakalabas po. Okay? So dito po, I will be remiss po kung makakalimutan ko pong sabihin. Very important po yun dito pong mga usapin, regulation, information security, privacy protection. So lahat po yan, tinitingnan din po. And then, very recently po, no, if you're been keeping track of the news, nagkaroon po ng, I think it's an ongoing case ng New York Times with regards to copyright infringement. So yung po bang mga pinapublish ng mga tao in terms of, let's say it's their intellectual property, pero hindi po siya properly attributed, properly cited po, na ginamit nyo po yung pinablish po niya. Ano po ba yung limitations at saka scope na pwede po doon? So yun po yung yung kanilang argument with regards to po sa kaso. But here, very important that the fundamental principles are here. So transparency, legitimate purpose, and proportionality, and then making sure that the data integrity is intact, the confidentiality is there, and it's resilient po and non-repudiated po in terms of the data. Okay? So I'll start off with examples that we've had. So mapapansin niyo po ito, no? Glaucoma consultation by computer. So in one of my earlier slides, napansin niyo po si Alan Turing, nagsimula po yun 1950, di ba po? So makikita niyo po dito, simula Causal Associational Network or CASNet model po. Sinimula na po siya nung panahong January 1978 pa po. So even if meron pong, let's say, limitations with regards to the infrastructure, the types of computer, the types of processing power na meron po noon, hindi po yung naging hadlang para sa mga nauna pong mga computer scientists to look into how to best improve yung service na dinideliver po nila. So this one, nakapakita po nila na yung CASNet model po is able to characterize the pathophysiological mechanisms and clinical course of, let's say, in this case, glaucoma po, in order to improve po yung kanilang diagnosis and help out in the therapy of glaucoma. So tandaan niyo po ito, 1978 pa lang po, may mga ganyan na pong interest as well as efforts in the biology and medicine space. Meron din po very recent in 2015 the development and validation po ng smartphone-based visual acuity test. Like I mentioned, I will be mostly focusing on ophthalmology and radiology examples for clinical practice and community-based fieldwork. So dito po, meron po nilagay silang model to be able to improve upon the determination and the assessment for visual acuity, peak acuity po. Those in the clinical practice and community-based fieldwork, paano po siya mas matutulungan with regards po sa visual acuity ng mga napapatingin ng mga pasyente po. Locally, meron din po tayong tinatrabaho patungkol po sa diabetic retinopathy po. Hindi nyo po na itatanong, mataas po yung kaso po natin ng diabetes dito po sa Pilipinas. Tumataas po siya at isa po sa mga epekto ng diabetes po yung nagkakaroon po kayo ng problema sa mata, so diabetic retinopathy po. So dito po nagkaroon po ng partnership between the Newton Adham Program ng Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Health Research and Development at ng United Kingdom Medical Research Council para po gawin yung remote retinal evaluation collaboration in health on diabetic retinopathy po, to be able to make sure that number one, they are able to develop an AI algorithm for determining po the likelihood in terms of the diagnosis of diabetic retinopathy based on retinal images, yung pong images po sa mata ng mga pasyente sa buong Pilipinas. Number two, yung po bang dinevelop po nilang AI algorithm or model, ito po ba ay mataas po ang kanyang accuracy, yung kanyang precision and sensitivity? At ito po ba ay naaayon po sa Filipino na population? That's why they need to validate that. And then number three, when can they deploy it in a clinical setting na magagamit po siya na hindi na po within the research realm or within the research umbrella? So yun po yung mga tinitingnan po dyan, lalo na po dito po sa Pilipinas ang diabetic retinopathy, para po kung mas maaga maiwasan yung paglala po ng diabetic retinopathy, mas maaga pong ma-identify sino po yung nagkakaroon na po ng diabetic retinopathy, then mas ma-improve po yung diagnosis at saka yung treatment plan na ibibigay para sa pasyente po. Okay? Meron din po tayong mga iba't ibang mga models na ginamit po sa keratoconus, sa catarata, sa anterior segment ng mata and oculoplastic surgery. So bukod po sa diabetic retinopathy, meron pong age-related macular degeneration, yung pag tumatanda po, nagde-degrade po sa may macula. Tapos sa mga bata po, lalo po sa mga bagong silang, yung pong retinopathy of prematurity, dinedetermine din po based on images po captured ng retina ng mga bata. Okay? There are also strides that have been made sa area po ng radiology for more accurate medical diagnosis that's based on pattern recognition of such images. I'll give an example. Dito po sa example na ito, mapapansin niyo po yung pong brain metastasis na stereotactic radiosurgery na MRI dataset. Isa lang po yan sa napakaraming mga dataset po on images. So meron pong image on x-rays, chest x-rays, sa mga buto. Meron din pong mga CT scan of the brain, of the abdomen, etc. Of the bladder. Meron din pong MRI datasets of the brain din po. Meron din po silang binibigay na made available, curated and annotated po ng mga datasets ng lung images. Ultrasound naman po ito of Zambian children na may clinical pneumonia po. Meron din pong low dose na liver na CT scan na may deep learning reconstruction po. So base po dito, the CT images acquired using 33% of the standard radiation dose had reduced image noise and comparable diagnostic performance. So yung po, nire-reconstruct din po nila yung pong sa may liver based on deep learning, yung pong pinag-usapan po natin kanina on convolutional neural networks, recurrent neural networks din po. Meron din po tayo, kung maalala niyo po, noong panahon po ng COVID, isa po sa mga ginamit ng mga ibang LGUs, yung sa may Huawei po. So, for them to automate the identification of COVID pneumonia based on the chest x-rays po. So yung may mga gumamit po noon mga LGUs para lang, lalo na po nung nung kasumulan po nung pandemic between April to July 2020 po, nandun po yung ginagamit. Meron din pong mga identification, lalo po yung mga medyo nahihirapan po sila or hindi po masyadong malino yung pagkaka X-ray or CT scan, to improve the diagnosis of tuberculosis in children, pero you could also do that in adults po, no, based on chest x-ray images. So malayo na po yung narating in terms of image recognition, being able to determine kung mayroon bang patterns and classifications na pwedeng magawa based on that and based on the images that are available po. So sa ophthalmology, retina, dito po sa radiology, CT scan, MRI, X-rays, yun po yung mga tinitingnan po natin. Dito po sa Pilipinas, we are looking at ano po ba yung pwedeng maibigay na kontribusyon ng artificial intelligence, lalo na po ng medical AI, para po mas ma-improve po yung service delivery networks natin as we are working towards universal healthcare. So malami po dito yung use of standards and for interoperability of electronic health information systems po. How are you able to more easily communicate and share that information? You are defining the set of data that can be shared among healthcare providers and the support that will be needed in collecting all of the data that's needed, making sure that if you're going to deploy an AI model, that they have access to the best and the latest information for that particular patient, so that the provider, the doctor, the nurse, pharmacist, etc., will be able to provide the best standard of care for that particular patient po. But at the same time, being able to regulate it enough, which is the role of the Food and Drug Administration po, in terms of software as medical device. Kasi may mga ganun po, may mga medical device po na ini-embeddan, sinasamahan po na naka-embed po yung artificial intelligence model. So yung po, in terms of regulation, is it really safe for that to be done in a clinical environment? Yung hindi na po research, nasa clinical na po, and what are the consequences if you're going to do that? Is it more good? Sana mostly good rather than the bad po, no? And how you'd be able to help, how AI will be able to help in the diagnosis, the transmission of that data from one place to another, yun sa telehealth po, and making sure that what is signed off by the person, kasi tao pa rin naman po yung mga doktor, sila rin po yung magsa-sign off kung ito talaga yung diagnosis at ito yung dapat ibigay sa pasyente. Yun po ay base sa best and most up-to-date information na meron, at yung pong doktor na magsa-sign off ay nag-a-agree dun po sa ina-output po nung AI model. Okay? So so ang ending po ng aking talk will be on the UNESCO's human rights approach to artificial intelligence. So meron pong 10 core principles on the approach to the ethics of AI. Number 1, obviously dahil po mga doktor po, no, so you need to yung do no harm dito po. So very important po, especially for those that are in the medical field. Proportionality po, are we using AI systems that do not go beyond what is necessary to achieve a legitimate aim? Number 2, safety and security. Are there unwanted harms or vulnerabilities to attack that need to be avoided dahil gumagamit kayo ng mga AI actors or systems? Number 3, nabanggit ko po, on privacy and data protection. Number 4, stakeholder and adaptive governance and collaboration. As more and more AI systems are in place, are there sovereignty issues? Sino po ba yung mananaig? Ano pong batas ang mananaig in terms of regulatory? Is that being done already? Number 5, responsibility and accountability po, no? AI systems to be auditable and traceable. And then number 6, be robust research area on transparency and explainability. Are you able to make sure that the models that you are outputting, the deliverables po, no, or yung mga outputs po, hindi po siya inimbento. Kung ano po yung ginawa po ninyong AI model, at isinalang nyo po siya based on a training set and on a test set and on a validation data set, yun po ba ay repeatable? Yun po ay pwede, kung ilang beses po siya gawin, ganun din po yung kalalabasan na output po niya. Are you transparent about that? Meron ka bang mga sinisingit doon na mga personal biases, like for example, may mga AI systems na po na dineploy sa ibang bansa that say na itong tao ito is very likely to commit a crime, pero yung po kasi meron po silang nilagay ng mga biases patungkol po sa gender, patungkol po sa race. Kung hindi po kayo puti, mas likely po kayong to commit a crime daw po. So yun po yung may mga ganun po na mga biases that need to be addressed and need to be mitigated po. Are you able to explain that without the biases, if you're able to limit the biases, those are the same outputs that will also be achieved? Number 7 will be human oversight and determination. So as mentioned po, no, napakahalaga po na may sign off po yung tao na number 1, makikinabang o yung po magdedesisyon patungkol po sa ina-output po ng artificial intelligence. Ito bang sinabi niya na diagnosis? Yun ba talaga yung diagnosis din ng doktor? Ito bang sinasuggest niya na treatment course? Yun din ba yung ibibigay mo? Yun ba ay, and then is it realistic? Or meaning, yung bang mga piniprescribe or nire-recommend na i-prescribe, yun ba ay accessible na mga gamot o mga procedures na magagawa dito sa Pilipinas? Kasama din po yun. Sustainability naman po, yung assessing against the impact on sustainability is a way to understand yung set of constantly evolving goals. Ano po ba yung goal po ninyo sa umpisa? Bakit po kayo may ganitong AI model? Dahil po sa kalaunan, nag-iba na po ito, ganun din pa rin po ba yung mga goals ninyo or nag-iiba din po siya? And how do all of those align with the UN Sustainable Development Goals? Lalo po, let's say for number 3, patungkol po sa health. Sa number 9, awareness and literacy, very, very important po, no? Lahat po ba ng mga tao na kailangan po maintindihan ito, naiintindihan po nila? Are they literate enough to understand it? Kaya nakalagay po dito, the public understanding of AI and data should be promoted through open and accessible education, civic engagement, digital skills, AI ethics training, media, and information literacy. And then number 10, fairness and non-discrimination. Patungkol na po yun doon sa una ko nabanggit. On number 6, transparency and explainability. Dapat po wala pong pagdi-discriminate based on race, gender, political affiliations, kung kanino ka man naniniwala, religious affiliations, ano ba yung mga leanings mo and beliefs. So hindi po dapat yun na isasama, kasi pag sinama nyo po yung sa model, obviously, kung ano po yung paniniwala nyo, yun din yung paniniwala ng model, which may not necessarily be correct at that point in time. Okay? So, kaya po ito po yung paborito ko po yung last slide pag nag-deliver po ng talk on artificial intelligence. Kasi before we delve into the technical aspects, like deploying, let's say, an adversarial neural network, if you're looking at improving the navigational system of, let's say, Tesla, ng mga electric cars, ng BYD, Build Your Dream po ng mga electric na kotse, na self-driving cars, before you even look at, let's say, yung mga robotics and making sure that those are working, are you really doing something that will be contributing significantly towards promoting and hopefully improving po yung human rights? Okay? Okay, that's my last slide po. Maraming salamat at I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you.